What's going on, y'all? I've got some really cool buffs and changes for Gyarados and Mega Gyarados. Before I get into them, I do have a lot to cover, but I want to quickly address any new viewers who are clicking on this video. First of all, welcome. Second of all, I highly encourage you to check that description below. There is a link to the Google Sheet that I'm sharing on screen right now. And most importantly, if you click this little tab right here on the bottom of the Google Sheet, it says search all moves here. You can check out all 600 plus move buffs and changes. There are a hell of a lot of them. They're super critical and important to understand how all the Pokemon function now. So, you're doing yourself a huge disservice by not checking it out. It took me a lot of time and effort to organize all these into all these categories and, link everything together and also just balance all the moves around one another in general. Every move, for the most part, does have a genuine purpose and use, which is really cool, especially in a Hardcore Nuzlocke where, like, the inaccurate type moves or moves with drawbacks are a lot riskier. Now the risks are actually worth it. And the general moves are also great. So look, I don't want to draw on it too much longer. Just make sure you check that out. I will be covering a few of them in this video probably, but I don't have time to get into every single one. With that being said though, Gyarados, it is no longer, well, it's now a mixed attacker, which makes perfect sense if you know anything about like how Gyarados behaves. All the Pokedex talks about how it just goes on this absolute rampage and it burns everything to smithereens and it destroys cities and its mouth incinerates targets with Hyper Beam. Initially, I did have Air Late, which actually made Hyper Beam super good because Hyper Beam and Giga Impact both function like Draco Meteor now. But sadly, as cool as Air Late is on Gyarados, Intimidate is better. I had to go back and change it because I realized like his speed isn't that great. His HP is obviously great and he has a good typing, but like he just felt kind of underwhelming with Berserk plus Air Late, especially because Air Late, all it really does, like obviously on the special side, you have plenty of good stab options already. On the physical side, you only have two good stab options really, technically three. You have Fly and Bounce, which are Acrobatics too. What am I saying? You have four great normal flying stab options then. So Air Late, as cool as it is kind of just like whatever. Like mechanically, it's just a cool ability for them. Intimidate is much more useful in a ROM hack like this, where things are running around all over the place, super strong. It gives you some much-needed defensive counterplay. So physical Gyarados and also special Gyarados can both abuse Intimidate, and obviously Berserk is purely for special sets, and Berserk plus Roost, which they now have access to via TM, is great. That's incredible. You can also use like Berserk Slackberry and get a speed boost and go to town with that. You can use them under the rain with Hurricane and water moves and Thunder and all that stuff, and that's really fun. Speaking of the rain at Mega Gyarados, not only are they Water Dragon now, which was mostly for overlap with other Water Darks, although actually I don't think there's any Water Darks with Swift Swim or Remote Scale. I just like the Dragon typing more for Mega Gyarados personally. I don't hate the Dark typing, I don't know, I prefer Dragon for it. I don't know why. Just makes more sense to me. Dark also fits fine though. There was another reason I changed it. Oh yeah, because there's way more Water Darks. That's why. There's like only 3 Water Dragon types in this hack. There is Seadra, Kingdra, which I'm counting as 1, Lapras, and then there's Mega Gyarados. So it's just 3. Meanwhile, Water Dark is like there's like 8 of them, 9 of them or something. So that's the main reason I remember. Swift Swim though is incredible on Mega Gyarados, very strong on both physical and special sides. On the special side, it does have Thunder and Hurricane for coverage, and then on the physical side, it has all types of powerful stab options on both sides. Tons of great coverage options, all types of crazy stuff which I'm going to get into. But multi-scale is the other option on Mega Gyarados, which is really powerful, especially because basically I balanced it so not only is base Gyarados genuinely useful over Mega for a lot of boss fights because of the typing and because of the utility that it provides and the fact that it can hold an item, while again Mega Gyarados cannot. Moxie is kind of boring for Gyarados in my opinion. I like Berserk way more. Berserk is also way more fitting. Like if you read the dex entries, dude, like Berserk was like made for this motherfucker. Like it's so fitting and cool. I love the concept of Berserk Gyarados. There's also a bunch of other new Pokemon with the ability Berserk. Not a bunch, but like at least probably about 10 at this point, which is pretty cool. Obviously all Pokemon in this ROM hack are balanced to have 2 useful abilities that you're supposed to cycle between with an infinite use ability capsule. You also have infinite EV training items, so switching between special and physical sets on Gyarados is very easy, especially with all of your TMs. Back on topic with the losing Air Late thing, because they used to have Air Late in the older rendition of these buffs. Like it just felt really pointless. Like yeah, Double Edge is cool, Giga is cool, it's cool, but it's not necessary. Like the defensive utility that Intimidate provides is superior to the power boost that you get from Air Late when you already have good stab options anyways. Acrobatics 110 base power, obviously you can't hold an item with that. And then Dive Bomb is flying type high jump kick, so you can use that with Wide Lens and get a strong flying type stab option. When I say flying type high jump kick, I mean functionally, by the way, not the animation. Oh, the animation actually did technically come from high jump kick. It's just that the animation for high jump kick shows them, like, it doesn't show a foot. It just shows like flying into the air and diving down at the opponent. So yeah, point being, though, Dive Bomb and Acrobatics are both very good stab options. And then you might be thinking, oh, Bounce and Fly kind of suck, though they're two-turn moves. And I personally still think two-turn moves are smelly, but you have to keep in mind you're fighting against AI. They're not going to switch out unless they use a switch move. So a two-turn move is literally just a one-turn move. There's no difference. The only actual difference is the fact that it gives the opponent a free turn. So maybe if they had a setup move or something, that's a little bit risky. If I gave, I would not click Bounce or Fly on a Pokemon that has like a setup move, but you'll know if they have one or not because you have access to the trainer documents. So in most cases, in like 95% of cases, Bounce and Fly are just 75 and 80 base power, reliable, no drawback stab options. Those aren't bad at all. They're good. All right. Fly being the same power as Air Slash, and then of course Aeroblast being even stronger, but it is slightly inaccurate. It always crits though. So Aeroblast plus like Hydro Cannon, which drops your special attack stat, is really sick. Yeah, they got so many fun things. DD, Multiscale, and Mega Gyarados is obviously very strong. They also have access to Roost, like I said, so that can be used to heal themselves up. So it's pretty damn strong, but it's Gyarados. It will be one of the later Mega Evolutions. All of these pseudo-legendary or 600 BST Megas are going to be available in Seafolk Village, while the earlier Megas are going to be available in Tapu Village. So that's worth noting. Not that it makes that big of a difference, but yeah, Intimidate plus Parting Shot is huge on Gyarados. It just makes him super bulky, right? Because he did lose Spadef, so I believe he's still technically a little bit bulkier overall because of the HP boost. But with Intimidate, physically he's immensely bulkier. The reason I give him an HP boost over Spadef is because in this ROM hack I do balance HP more on the size of the Pokemon. It's not like a complete 1-to-1 ratio. It's just something I like to try to do. And Gyarados is obviously massive, so I definitely have to give him at least over like 110 base HP. Honestly, ideally he would have more, but there was not enough base stat total points for that, so this is good enough. 120 special attack with Berserk is awesome. Obviously, physical sets are still great. You still have great physical and special coverage options. So you can just optimize your set for that boss fight. It also depends on your IVs and your nature and your personal preferences and all that stuff. So you can use either one. He also gets Nasty Plot on Sora's Dance and, all that stuff, which is great with, Nasty Plot plus Berserk plus Roost is strong. But honestly, like, kind of overkill. I'd rather use Agility plus Berserk plus Roost. That's a lot stronger. Gyarados also highly benefits from the fact that he resists First Impression in his base form, so that's really useful for trying to set up and sweep with Berserk. Intimidate, like I said, incredible defensive utility. That's something that I would never, like, it's so useful in a hack like this. Keep in mind there are guaranteed crit moves that will bypass through Intimidate, so it makes it a lot less oppressive, but it's still, like, an incredible ability, obviously. Battle Cry, that drops attack and special attack by 2. That also works great with Intimidate. Mega Gyarados, the beautiful thing I was trying to say earlier is that Berserk into Swift Swim is really cool because you can switch in your Gyarados, get a Berserk boost, Roost up, you can rack up Berserk boosts in the rain, and then you can even use Rain Dance yourself if you want to, honestly. And then you abuse the special attack boost in the rain with Swift Swim. That's super sick. Even just hard switching in. For example, Rain Dance on your teammate with the buffed Damp Rock, which will be 11 full turns, right? You Parting Shot on that second turn. Now you have 9 full turns left of rain. You Parting Shot into your Gyarados or Volt Switch or U-turn. You take, under half HP damage. You Roost up. You rack up a Berserk boost or 2. Now you have like 7 or 6 turns of rain left, and now you Mega Evolve, get that Swift Swim, and you go crazy. I also think Swift Swim fits Swift Swim and Multiscale fit Gyarados very, very well. All of these abilities do. Swift Swim especially because his body is like, as you can see, it's like more developed for like swimming, while base Gyarados is more of like a dragon, like he flies. Mega Gyarados looks more like aquatic. Not that he's not a dragon. I mean, obviously he is. He always has been an honorary dragon. So yeah, that's really cool. Coil plus Dive Bomb is pretty great. Coil will give you that accuracy boost as well as obviously attack and defense. So that means you don't have to worry about missing Dive Bombs for your normal type, for your flying type stab option. Excuse me. Acrobatics is also there though, always, which is nice. Yeah, he's just a goat. And then, of course, on the special side, you have Hurricane, Aeroblast, Razor Wind, Air Slash, all that fun stuff. You also have priority moves in the form of Bubble Shot, Aqua Jet, and Gust, as well as Twister and Draco Jet for Mega Gyarados, Stab, and Shockwave, which is a coverage priority move. So those are all really awesome. And First Impression. Those are all sick little niche things you can teach every once in a while. Of course, the priority level up moves you can't, so I would just keep them if you want them. He does have pretty bad Poor Moves Lost Syndrome, but so does literally every other Pokemon in the game. It's partially by design. I want you to be able to be intelligent with the moves that you teach and the sets that you run, and juggle your moves properly. But yeah, overall he's just a goat. He's got incredible coverage of all different types, all types of fun moves. He can abuse high base power water stabs, boosted in the rain or boosted by Berserk, and Intimidate, Multiscale. It's just sick overall. He is very strong. Nothing broken by this hack standards. If this is your first impression of the hack, don't let this like. There are much stronger Pokemon. There are much bulkier Pokemon. Not that Gyarados is like anything. He's still a great Pokemon, right? But yeah, he evolves at level 40, which is par for the course for all the other pseudo two-stage Pokemon. Magikarp is one of the only unusable Pokemon in the game. By unusable, I mean it's like intentionally bad, mostly for soul reasons, because like it's Magikarp. It's like infamous for being weak. Like if you read the Pokedex versus like Feebas or something, technically isn't supposed to be weak. It's just pathetic looking and sad and whatever. But it's actually not a weak Pokemon necessarily, or at least like weak meaning like literally unusable. So yeah, Magikarp, like it falls at level 40. It's not going to be used. Like you're not supposed to use that up until level 40. When by the time you hit level 40, you'll be most likely in the you'll be like early Ululawan for sure. Most likely around Totem Mimikyu a little bit earlier. Definitely after the first Guzma fight though. So that's kind of a a reference for when you'll be getting Gyarados legally with level limits, which is highly encouraged. I would say, like, unless you're playing completely just for fucking fun, and you don't give a shit. I would 100% play with level limits. That's like by design. But yeah, that's really about it. I don't know what else to say. I could cover a few more things, but I'll leave it off there. I'll let you all figure out the rest of these move buffs and changes in the description below. Look at all those; they're really important. Appreciate you listening, and I'll be back for more move buffs and changes coming up. Peace, y'all.